If you're a fighter, your tools are your hands. You gotta protect them. You gotta take care of them. You gotta nurture them. You gotta make sure you don't injure them. The best way to do that is wrapping them properly. Whether you're getting ready for a fight or just for training, every time you start hitting something, you wanna have your hands wrapped to protect your knuckles, the bones in your wrist, the joint, even the skin on your knuckles can be scraped off. And I've had that happen where you can't train for a few days just because it hurts too bad. So the best way to protect them is with a hand wrap. We're gonna wrap our hands now for training purpose. And for training, I like 180-inch stretchy gauze you can buy on the Fight Tough website. Works really good. We're gonna start over the thumb. The thumb is one of the more stable parts of the wrist, so I like using that as a base. And I start going over the thumb because the thumb doesn't really move that way. If you go this way, the thumb can kind of give. So I wanna offer a good foundation. And depending upon what part of your hand is weak or hurt, you can offer more support to that area, but we're just gonna go over the basic way. And just as they say, there's more than one way to skin a cat, there's more than one way to wrap your hands. Eventually you'll find the best way that works for you, but I'm gonna give you a basic idea. So we start over the thumb, and I'm gonna take it to the wrist first. There's a happy medium. You don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose, and that's just practicing on yourself, figuring out what you like. I'm gonna go a couple wraps around the wrist, and then I'm gonna start working back down towards the hand. And if you look, I kind of do a cross weave. So one's angled down, one's angled over. This kind of is an athletic training technique to tape where you kind of offer more support to the joint, okay? Next, I'm gonna work my way up towards the hand. Once over the knuckles, come back down across the top of the hand towards the wrist, up over and around the thumb. Again, that thumb is that stable part of the hand, and we want to offer a lot of stability there, okay? Going back up, either around the wrist or right up to the knuckles again. And say I've been punching really hard and I got some sore knuckles, what I can do is I can put a little bit of cushioning down across the knuckles to offer a little more protection, okay? If my knuckles aren't sore, I might not need to do this. It's a little tricky on your own at first, but you'll get used to it. And what I want to do is I want to come up from the base of the thumb, and I'm going to take it up through the finger and around the wrist. Through the finger and then back around the wrist. Again, through the finger back around the wrist. And the wrist is generally the part where most of the damage can be, with the exception of the knuckles. But I want to make sure that that's really stable and really protected. On the bag is one thing because you're in pretty good control of your punches, but when you're sparring, you might have somebody moving into your punch and you make contact when you're not expecting it. Those are the times you really can hurt your hand. Wrapping them definitely helps that out, okay? Then I want to come back up, lock down what I did up around the knuckles, and then I'm always going to have a little bit of excess at the end. I'm going to bring it all the way back up the hand from the wrist up the arm and use the extra there. You want to still be able to make a fist. You don't want too much in here where you can't be able to grab on and make a fist, and it should offer some stability. The farther up the arm you go, the more stable the wrist is going to be. The lower up you go, you'll still be able to get a lot of bend on there. And it just, like I said, just depends on what's comfortable for you, what works for you. One thing you're looking for, you don't want to see the wrap all loose and gappy. You know you're not putting it tight enough. And then if you do one round and your fingers are turning purple and it's numb, then it's probably a little too tight. And just practice like I said. Jump rope. No boxing gym is without. One of the best tools for getting in shape, building up your shoulders, getting timing, learning how to relax, be loose, how to move, and have fun. It's more than just jumping up and down. I can do the boxer skip, I can make it challenging, I can go doubles, triples, I can crisscross. All these things, it's a fun way to get in shape in the gym. Sometimes even better than running, if I work it intensely enough. But we'll start with the basic, just a boxer skip. And it's almost like I'm jogging in place, but kind of both feet hit the ground at the same time. There's a little bit of transfer of weight from each side. Here's the best way to do this to demonstrate. I'll give you a little look. Basic boxer skip. I want to be relaxed. I want to be loose with my shoulders nice and relaxed. I'm switching my weight back and forth on my feet and give them the variety to it. Maybe stick my heel out. My shoulders are loose. Good body shape could do this for hours, not even mess up. You know, it takes a lot of practice if you've never done it before, but this kind of up and down motion, the muscles I'm using, it really is a good preparation to keep me in shape, to be in the ring, and go to war. The more variety you give while you're jumping, the less boring and monotonous it seems. You know, you can get to where you cross it up. You know, I can go hindies. I can do the double. You can do the crisscrosses. You know, if you mess up, keep moving, get the rope going again. There's no necessarily right way, as long as you keep moving. I can have some fun. Try that again. Put my head moving together, dance around. I got some good music in the gym. Have fun. We're going to talk about shadow boxing. There's several key reasons why I like shadow boxing as a tool to improve your boxing. One, it's a good tool to correct your form, kind of work on your technique, make sure you're not dropping your hands, you're not getting out of position. You know, and we can get in front of the mirror and check that out. Shadow boxing is probably also one of the best ways to warm up. You get your body moving through the ranges of motion that you're going to do, and that will help prevent injuries later on. And also, three, you can really set up a fight scenario with shadow boxing. You can get in your mind, have an imaginary opponent in front of you, and execute the things that you want to do when you're going to spar or when you're going to fight. So first off, we'll get in front of the mirror and we'll kind of make sure our technique is looking good. We'll use the mirror for that. All right, so I come to the mirror, the bell rings, you know, I find my head movement, I start throwing punches. What I'm looking for is, am I in the right position? Is my shoulder back? Are my hands up? Is my back heel off the ground? I want to be able to see all these things in the mirror while I'm shadow boxing. Now, my reflection, I'm orientating myself towards that as my opponent. So my punches are being placed on myself in the mirror. That helps with your accuracy and your precision of your punching, okay? So I'm looking that my punches are coming back to my chin. I might see my left hand drop when I throw my cross. The mirror gives me that clue. I can see it. All right, next time I'm going to do it without dropping my left hand. Good. I might throw another combo. Oh, I realize my right hand is dropping when I'm throwing the hook. So here I can make that correction. I might see that I'm leaning too far forward on my punches. I need to make that correction. I need to make more of a rotation when it comes to that. I might have a reminder that I'm not seeing my head move. So that's a good idea. Even as I'm moving my head or doing defense, my orientation stays directly at my opponent, which is my reflection. So when I'm shadow boxing, I want to get focused. You know, when the bell rings, in my mind, the round starts, the fight starts. I don't want to be distracted by other people in the gym or by other things. I want to be focused on my technique and the precision of my punches, and I want to make it as realistic as possible. So ding, 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 the bell rings. I'm on. I approach my opponent. Start throwing some combinations. Maybe I watched some tape and I saw that my opponent's kind of susceptible to a hook to the body. So I'm looking to set that up. I'm also throwing defensive moves in because it's not all offense. I want to make it as realistic to the fight as I can, but I'm also using the mirror to check my technique, make sure my elbows come back, make sure I finish my position, make sure I place my punches. So while I'm doing, I can make the adjustments as I go, kind of like you'd make adjustments in a real fight. But I'm also being defensive. I'm imagining punches coming at me. I'm blocking, deflecting, rolling, slipping, putting all the tools of boxing together so when I need to apply it in the ring, it comes off a little easier. Finish up shadow boxing. In my opinion, one of the most important aspects of putting it all together, becoming a fighter, learning how to use your tools, not just separating them, but to put them together in a real fight situation, fight scenario. You see a lot of people, these are things that I notice in the gym a lot. You know, you see them shadow box, and they look pretty sharp, and they look pretty good, and then all of a sudden they're in front of somebody, and they're throwing terrible punches like that. For some reason in their mind, they have to punch differently because there's an opponent in front of them, or because there's a bag in front of them. But in all reality, the way I shadow box is the exact way I throw punches, whether I'm hitting the bag, whether I'm shadow boxing, which I said, sparring, fighting, hitting the double end bag, working mitts. The more I can make it like shadow boxing, the more I can simulate my actual fight with shadow boxing, the more complete fighter, the better fighter I think I'm gonna be. And I want to put it all together. You know, I want to have my head movement. I want to have my blocking, my defense. I want to have my intensity. I want to be aggressive. I want to be defensive. I want to control the ring. I want to move my opponent around. I want to cut them off and put them in a corner. I want to scramble and get away when I feel like I'm out of position. I want to take angles. And shadow boxing in the ring or in front of the mirror is when I really can put it all together. Because the heavy bag doesn't move. It doesn't go anywhere. The other bags kind of just stay there. Here, you know, my opponent's not just going to stand there and let me hit them. You know, they're going to come after me. They're going to move away from me. And I really have a good opportunity to shadow box and put it all together. And I could recreate the intensity of a round that way. You know, I could work through a whole 3-minute round and think about during the rest what I need to do in the next round. So we're going to try to put the shadow boxing together as close as I can to what I want to do in a fight. I'm going to try to execute the combinations, the punches, the defense that I know I'm going to need to bring me to victory in the next fight that I have coming up or the next sparring session. I'm going to learn the movements that I need to learn shadow boxing so it's easier to execute when I really need to do it. So we're going to start the round. I'm going to shadow box a little bit like I would if I was getting ready for a fight. And everybody has a different style, so you shadow box with your style. But if you're trying to incorporate different things, shadow boxing is also the time to learn it and get comfortable doing that too, okay? So on the bell, which is gonna be imaginary, I'm gonna start shadow boxing, and I put myself in the mind frame like I'm in a fight. And I put an imaginary opponent out in front of me that I don't take my eyes off of. And I stay focused, and I try to make it realistic. I'm not gonna throw 1-2 here, turn around, and throw punches over here, because there's no way somebody got from there to there. We want to make it realistic. We want to move and flow just like a real fight would flow. And it probably sounds like I'm over-explaining things, but it's actually a really important aspect of the fight game, is put it together through shadow boxing. Work time. As I said, the way you shadow box is the way you do it in real life. You know, when I throw my right hand, yeah, I'm trying to hit my opponent, but I'm also throwing it to get back in position. You know, I don't want to leave myself out there. Even if I get my hands up, I'm out of position. So I'm thinking, if this is where I start, I'm going to put my punches together and get back to position. From here, I can do everything. Okay? I'm thinking, in my mind, in the way I think, you know, as a boxer, as a coach, I would rather miss this than land that punch because of what might happen next. You know, I don't want to take anything for granted. I don't want to assume that just because I hit my opponent hard, I'm going to knock them out. Maybe they have a great chin, and they've just been waiting for me to open up a big punch so they can get me out there. So I always want to stay one step ahead. We learned about the effectiveness of the jab and how the jab can hide other punches, how it can set up other punches, how it can establish my timing, my distance, how it can make my opponent worry about what I'm doing, how it can confuse them, how it can set traps. So really, when I'm practicing everything, you know, you always hear on TV, you hear the coach go, jab, jab. is such an important thing. I mean, it really is. It offsets the timing of my opponent, and everything is set up off of that. Now, I might get to the point in the fight where I use my lead hand so much that I have a lead right hand or a lead hook. I might be able to catch him with a counter uppercut, but it's because I did my work with that lead hand first. You know, once in boxing, you kind of, you know, there's more than one way to do things, and I understand that, but you also have to understand that if you do something differently, it's got to be for a reason. You know, not just because that's the way you do it. You know, it's too easy for your opponent to pick on. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, you have a smart opponent in front of you. They're going to figure it out. They're going to exploit that thing that you do. You should be in there exploiting the things that they do, or making them do the things you want to do. You know, and I use some good fighters as an example. You know, you maybe saw a great counterpuncher like Roy Jones Jr. or even Montel Griffin, who beat Roy Jones Jr. Montel was a great counterpuncher because he used to make you throw the punch that he wanted to counter. Somewhere along the line, if he got lazy or whatever it was, and I'm sorry for picking on you, Montel, but he started waiting for that punch to come. And you don't want to get in a position where you're waiting for your opponent to do something because maybe they do something that you're not waiting for them to do. I want to take control. And I'm not just trying to beat my opponent. I'm trying to convince those judges over there that I'm the one that's winning the fight. And if I'm a professional fighter, professional athlete, I'm trying to convince those fans out there why they're paying all this money to watch me. So I want to make the most out of myself. I want to make my fights exciting. I want to knock my opponent out. Because if I'm doing this for a living, it's going to bring more money to me. It's going to make it that much more worthwhile. It's going to make it worth taking all the risk of getting beat up and being in the gym and all the injuries that you sustain. It's going to make that more worthwhile. Some people just love it, which I do. But sometimes eventually that risk becomes more than the reward. Alright? And the more I can master my tools, because as a boxer, this is it. This is all I have. So I got to be able to do everything I could possibly do with just these tools. And those 2 punches, the 3 punches I throw, the combinations I throw, the more I practice, the more I learn what I'm capable of doing. The more solutions I can solve. You know, anybody can win a fight if everything's going your way. Maybe I get hurt and I can't block this right hand that keeps getting to my chin. I need to be able to adapt. I need to be able to change. I need to be able to, maybe I used to always be able to slip the right hand and he's timing me slipping it. I might have to block. That might be something new for me, but to be able to make those adaptations and the changes helps you become a better, more complete fighter. I mentioned earlier, stepping with the punches is very important. It's big with Roger Mayweather as well. I need to bring power into my punches. I need to put timing and placement to my punches. And I need to move in position with my punches. You know, if I just walk in and throw, Stevie Wonder's gonna see that coming. So I need to use footwork, my head movement. I need to put it all together to be able to come in and land the punch that you're not expecting to come in. I need to trick you. I need to be a magician. I need to have sleight of hand. I need to show you one thing and come with something else. And all these tools, all these things you're learning from these videos, the more you can use of it, the better you're gonna be. We're going to talk about conditioning. You know, in boxing, as old of a sport as it is, it's kind of caught between the old school and what's new and what's old and what works and what doesn't work. And today in sports, you're getting to the whole genre of sport-specific training. And you know, weightlifting as opposed to conditioning, as opposed to running, sprinting, plyometrics, you know, all kinds of field training and especially stuff, calisthenics in the boxing gym. So we got to pick and choose from all these different tools to use us to become better, fitter, quicker, stronger, more flexible, better athletes. You know, and if you look at all sports, because we've gotten better as a society in training athletes, the athletes have gotten better. And boxing's no different. So, you know, whereas in the olden days, old school trainers, you know, weightlifting, definitely no, you can't lift weights, it's bad, it slows you down. Well, there's actual ways to lift weights for boxing to make you quicker, make you more explosive, make you hit harder. Definitely, I wouldn't want to do a bodybuilding routine and bulk up and get bigger and slower and less flexible. You know, as long as I take into consideration the speed, the movements, the explosiveness, and all that kind of stuff, a good, well-designed weight training program or resistance training program can be very beneficial to the boxer. We also got to look at what the competition of the sport entails. What are the intensities, the endurance, aerobic, anaerobic? Is it a long sprint, a short sprint, or a long run? What am I looking to do, a marathon or a quick sprint? And in boxing, whether it's amateur or pro, I'm either doing 2-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds. And depending upon the level, it's either 3 or 2-minute rounds, or it's 4, 3, up to 12 3-minute rounds. So depending upon what I'm asking my body to do, I need to prepare from training accordingly. And we do need a foundation of cardiovascular health or cardiovascular fitness. And, you know, a good basic running program, you know, a couple miles a day, 2, 3, 4 miles, depending upon, am I a world championship fighter fighting 10 or 12 rounds, or am I an amateur boxer that's fighting 3 2-minute rounds? You know, it kind of depends. I want to make it specific. You know, I've had some amateur guys, well, I ran 15 miles yesterday, coach. You know, your fight only lasts 6 minutes. It's not really specific to what you're going to do. So a suggestion for that particular person would be, you know, like run 2-minute sprints, rest for a minute, because that's what you do in the ring. You know, get to where you can push yourself harder during that short 2-minute period of work time. If you're a pro fighter, it's going to be 3 minutes, you know. And there's a balance between strength conditioning, resistance training, weights, flexibility, sprinting, distance running. Definitely need that foundation of road work. You have to build up your cardiovascular health and strength and your endurance, and have that foundation. Once you have that foundation, then you can start developing your anaerobic thresholds, your aerobic thresholds, getting even more highly tuned of an athlete. And being specific to the sport and the intensity of your sport is going to help that. Jumping rope, sprinting, working harder on the bag when the round is on, push-ups, sit-ups, calisthenics, plyometrics. There's a lot of good gyms around your towns that have good personal trainers, good strength conditioning coaches. Universities have athletic trainers. There's a lot of great information on the internet, in books. You can find out about how to properly train yourself. And also, if you're one of those guys that works really hard and trains yourself, a big important factor is also how well you rest and take care of your body. Making sure that you're eating right, resting properly, you're not injuring yourself. An overtrained athlete is at more risk for injury, and that can set you out of the gym even longer. So do your research, do your homework, talk to people that know, and be as specific as you can to your training. Talk about some of the equipment you need if you're training for boxing, just for the workout or for competition, depends. We already discussed hand wraps for training. Now we're gonna move into gloves. All right, what I have here is a light glove or a light bag glove. I'd use this for maybe a double end bag or maybe some light work on a heavy bag. Necessarily, I wouldn't do my heaviest power punching with this glove. It doesn't offer a lot of protection, but it does offer some cushioning for the knuckles on the hand. Different styles, different brands, whatever you want that's comfortable for you. But it gives you a nice light glove for a quick workout, but it still offers some hand protection, okay? From here, we'd move up to a more legitimate bag glove. A little bigger, a little heavier, give you a little more workout, maybe even a little stiffer, offers a little more support to the wrist. We have a Velcro glove here. For ease, makes it easier to put on, take off. And again, we also have a protection for the knuckles and also a little strap to hold the thumb so you don't accidentally jam your thumb on the bag. This kind of glove, you could do a lot of your heavy work on the heavy bags. Not necessarily made for sparring. I wouldn't want to do sparring with this kind of glove. It doesn't protect your hands that much, and it doesn't do a good job of protecting your sparring partner if it's a friend of yours, okay? For sparring, generally you're gonna jump up to a larger size glove, 14, 16, 18, maybe even 20 ounces. 16 is about average. If you're a smaller guy, you know, under 135 pounds, a 14-ounce glove would probably be okay for sparring. What these offer here is a cover to cover the Velcro. And what that does is it prevents the Velcro from scraping out your opponent's eyes, cutting them on the face, and gouging them out. So it offers, you can still close it with the Velcro, and then you use that little sheath to cover it up, so now you're not getting scraped up by the hard Velcro. And the Velcro does make things a little easier as opposed to lace-up gloves, though lace-up gloves offer probably the most protection for your hand, and most professionals will probably use a lace-up glove for training and or sparring for mitt work and bag work. The other thing about a sparring glove that's different from a training glove is it offers more padding, more cushion, more foam in front of the knuckles, along with the added weight. So, if you're sparring someone that is one of your gym mates and you're not trying to knock them out, you're trying to be friendly, you work on your technique, you definitely want a glove that's got enough padding. You're not trying to kill each other, you're trying to train and get better from each other, okay? Next we move on to the cup. Probably an uncomfortable piece of equipment for a lot of people. If you've been hit low, you'll definitely know the value of it. And for those that are in competition, whether it's amateur or professional boxing, it's definitely something you want to get used to wearing because you're required to wear it for an amateur and professional bout. So the more you train with it, the more you spar with it, the more comfortable it feels, the less bulky, the less cumbersome, and it kind of feels like a more natural part of your everyday equipment, and you get used to it. And it does offer also some protection of the hips. Getting punched on the hips doesn't feel good as well, as opposed, and there's also the hard groin protection. You definitely need that. There's also a female and a male version. Women need protection down there as well, okay? Now we have headgear, a couple different styles. What we have here is an open face competition headgear. And if you are one that's boxing for competition, then you should be registered with USA Amateur Boxing. All of the competition headgears should have this stamp on it, which means when you get in the ring, the referee is going to check to see if you have this. If you have this, you're okay to fight. Not all headgears are okay or sanctioned for USA Amateur Boxing. So you want to make sure that if you are going to compete, you do have one of these headgears or your gym has one. I suggest that a headgear is one of the pieces that you get is your own equipment. After putting on somebody else's sweaty headgear over and over again, it kind of gets old and it's a little gross. So you do want to invest in your own headgear. Now, there's another variety. Closed face has these cheek protectors. There are competition headgears that have the cheek protectors and some that have the open face. And it kind of just depends on what you're comfortable with. Now, obviously, the open face isn't giving you as much protection, but it's what you're lacking in protection, you're gaining in sight and vision, okay? We switch over to this one, which isn't a competition headgear. It's a sparring headgear, and it does have the cheek protectors that offer a little protection of the nose. So if you got a big nose like me, this might be a good idea until you get used to not getting hit. But as with the added protection, your field of vision is restricted and you can't see as much. But it's also a little more forgiving when you do get hit because it's protecting you. Now everybody thinks headgear is protecting you from getting knocked out. While it may offer some protection from that, it really does most of its protection to prevent you from getting cut, bruised, or damaged, or swollen on the face. You also, I know some people that like sparring without a headgear, which is risky enough, but they see more, and your head is a smaller target. As soon as I put this on my head, there's a bigger target to hit. So you're giving up one thing, looking for something else, and it kind of depends on what's important to you. But I do suggest that if you are sparring, headgear is a mandatory piece of equipment. Boxing is dangerous. You can get seriously injured, and good protective equipment keeps you from getting hurt seriously, or it also prevents those minor injuries. If I'm just sparring and I get cut or I get my nose broken, you know what? That's time I'm out of the gym. I can't be training, okay? Maybe I get my ear grazed and I got a bit of cauliflower ear. That's time, again, that I'm not training or sparring because of an injury that I have. That's why it's important to wrap your hands, wear the right gloves. Maybe I didn't wrap my hands, I'm hitting the bag hard. A couple things, I might scrape the skin off my knuckles. It's very painful after it sets in, to the point where almost you can't punch for a few days. Maybe I hurt my wrist, tweak the bones, or strain something. I'm not punching for a few days or for a week because I'm out of the gym because of an injury. So your safety equipment is very, very important. Another one, which I don't have on me right this second, is a mouthpiece. And in my opinion, one of the most important things. It protects your teeth. It helps you from getting knocked out. Dentists are expensive, and it could be very painful. And getting a tooth knocked out is no fun. Anytime you're going to be in the ring with punches coming at you, sparring or fighting, you definitely want to wear a mouthpiece. And a mouthpiece is one of those things where the more you spend, generally the better quality and protection you're getting. You can go buy a $1.99 one, melts in the water and bite and set it. That's better than nothing. But there's a lot of different companies out there that offer better mouthpieces, and you can go to your dentist and have one specifically made for you, which is, if you're going to put a lot of effort and time into this hobby or this profession, something I suggest you do. Other safety things we have are Vaseline. Anytime you're going to get in the ring and spar or fight or compete, you want to put Vaseline on your face and or on your headgear if you're sparring. And the reason why is most of the concussive damage done to the punches are when a direct shot hits and the brain's rattled. What the Vaseline does, it allows the punch to slip off, not affecting your head as much. Also on your face, it directly prevents cuts, bruises, abrasions, swelling, mouse under your eye, having the punches slip off, not catch on the skin. Leather on your skin before you're sweaty and wet without Vaseline can cause tears and cuts. And those take a long time to heal. They can even put back competition for a while. You can't have a pro fight with stitches in. The commission won't let you. Amateur boxing will not be allowed with a fresh cut or wound. So the more you consider using all your protective equipment, the more time in the gym you get, and the more time and better competition that you get.